Hello everybody and welcome to today's lesson. Today we're going to be talking about common tones and we will be exploring some of the amazing benefits that we can extract from using them over a non-functional harmonic setting. The reason why I chose that kind of setting is because I often find that, you know, when we solo over non-functional chords, it can often sound like you're just playing over each isolated chord, but you're not sort of taking the whole thing as one singular canvas. And I think that common tones can really help in providing that glue necessary to sort of bind the music together. Now I've chosen the chord progression from the second half of the song Black Narcissus by Joe Henderson, which is a really lovely piece. I recommend that you stop the video and listen to it if you haven't done so. As a matter of fact, I will hold this video until you've heard the song, and then you can come back and we can talk a little bit further about it. So now that you've listened to the piece, let's talk a little bit about that sort of second half of the song. It basically revolves around 4 major sharp 11 chords. So we got the Lydian sound going, and we got an E flat major sharp 11, F, B flat, and C. And if we break the keys down, and I will be providing the notes on the video right now, you will see that we've got the following common tones. We've got G, C, D, and A. So as you can see, we've got quite a lot of notes to work with here. And what I would recommend that you guys do is to then try and compartmentalize them in familiar structures so you can have an easier access to them across your instrument. So if we take a look at the notes, we see that we can extract a few familiar patterns. Okay, we've got G and we've got C and D, which would give us a G sus4 triad. We also have G, A, and D, which would give us a G sus2 triad. We also have enough notes for an A minor 11 arpeggio, because we've got A, which is the root, C, which is the flat 3, D, which is the 4, or I would call it 11 for now, and G, which is the flat 7, and so on and so forth. I mean, you can also think of C sus2 there, because we've got C, D the second, and G the fifth. But let's stick with G sus4, G sus2, and A minor 11 for the time being. So the next step would be to try and identify some of them on our neck. Now I have added some additional lesson notes in the video description with some diagrams to get you started on those things, but let's start with a G sus4 first and foremost. So let's start on the 3rd fret. So we're going to have G, and I will refer to them by their intervallic number, which I recommended as the way to view things like that anyways. So we got the 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5, 1. So if you want, you can take a minute and practice that and then come back to the video. Now let's take a look at a G sus2 in the same position. So we've got 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, and then root. Take a moment to practice that for a little bit. And finally, we've got an A minor 11, which I guess you could think about it as an A minor pentatonic without the 5th, because we've got A, we've got C, we've got D, and G. So you got the suck there. But anyways, let's take a look at sort of one position, and we're gonna, for the sake of these, we're gonna stick to the first position. Just, you can think of it as the first position of the sort of minor pentatonic shape. And again, we're basically just dodging the 5th. So we've got 1, flat 3, 4, flat 7, 1, 3, flat 3, 4, dodging the 5, flat 7, 1, and flat 3. All right, so. This is the final sort of pattern we're going to be working with on the time being. So take a moment to drill that a little bit, and then when you're ready, come back to the video. So what I'd recommend right now is to pick any of those structures. So let's say the G sus4, and isolate to a string set in the position that we went over, and try and get a feel for what sounds we can get. You know, if you haven't done this before, it might feel a little bit strange in the beginning to just be confined to one position, but you'll see that with limitation, you can actually access many parts of your creativity that you were not able to access before. So I'll have a play over it. I'll just stick to this, and let's see if I can cook up something nice. Let's take a listen. I'm gonna have to butt in this video. Have you subscribed yet? Have you rung the bell, the notification bell? If not, you should mediate that rung right now. On with the video. So now let's take a listen to the G sus2, and let's be a bit more expansive this time. So I'm gonna limit myself to the top 4 strings. I've got my 1, 2, 5, 1, 2. Like I said before, I'm going to be attaching diagrams on the lesson notes in the link in the description, so you can sort of, study them at your own time. Let's see what we can cook with those information. Well, that was some unexpected Julie Andrews there. Anyways, let's do the same for the A minor 11. Again, pretty much like a pentatonic without the fifth, A minor pentatonic without the fifth. Let's take a listen. So what do you guys think? I think that you can definitely extract some really strong musical ideas with that. And you can make use of the fact that, if you take the same notes across different harmony, it's almost like your top line gets reinvented every time. So what I mean by that is, let's say we sustain the note C, right, over the chords. Well, when you play that and you have E flat on the bass, you get the sound of the 6. Then when you go to F, you get the sound of the 5. And when you go to B flat, you get the sound of the 9, of the 2nd. And then when you go to C, well, you get the sound of the root. Boring. So this is definitely a feature of this kind of approach of improvisation and sort of musical arrangement. Now, I guess the next step is to try and integrate common tones with the rest of the notes of each respective key. Of course, you can just try and do sort of extended musical statements sticking to the common tones alone. I mean, you can certainly do that. But I think in a realistic scenario, you're also going to be using the notes that are unique to each key. So you certainly want to try integrating the two together in a sort of, I would say again, limited and methodical way, meaning perhaps you stick to a specific place on the neck and try to integrate each respective key, as well as making common tones quite obvious, at least for the beginning, so you can sort of cultivate that sort of ethos. Although this lesson is sort of dedicated to common tones, I must advise that you're able to play each key in various positions and try to integrating them. The biggest mistake you can make, well, not the biggest, but one of the biggest mistakes you can make when it comes to playing this sort of music is to just, know your 3-note per string positions and nothing else. Because then you will have severe limitations in how you can express yourself. I will demonstrate that over the track very briefly before we examine some more musical ideas with common tones and the rest of the key. Let's take a look. Right. E flat, F, B flat, C. Again, B flat, F, B flat, C, so on and so forth. So you get the idea. You gotta want to be able to navigate that position in a sort of confined area on the neck. So let's go back to our main topic. Let's try to integrate some of those common tones patterns that we work with. So like the G sus4, G sus2, the A minor 11, alongside the rest of the notes of the keys. And what I'm going to try and do is almost try and sort of split the track a little bit. So we have a 4-bar cycle, right? We've got 1 bar of E flat, 1 bar of F, 1 bar of B flat, 1 bar of C, and then we start again. So what I'm going to try and do is sort of integrate, each key for the first 4 bars. Then I'm going to sort of, limit myself to the common tones for the next 4 bars, and we're going to try and have that sort of foreplay, and yeah, see how this is going to work. Let's take a listen. So hopefully this gives you an idea of how you can create a sense of unity and cohesion when soloing over chords that would otherwise feel sort of kind of disjointed. Again, common tones is not the only way, and I will be making follow-up videos with other tools that you can integrate in your phrasing in order to achieve that. Now you can always take a step back and see how you can adapt those common tones on the guitar to serve different purposes. So maybe you want to go for a wider intervallic sound. Maybe you want to find ways that you can, integrate those common tones in a more fired up, shreddy, explosive kind of way. And as a matter of fact, I will be showing you some of my favorite sort of ways to arrange those notes in order to, switch up the gears a little bit. So yeah, without further ado, let's take a look at some fired up ways to play those common tones over this track. Right, so let's take a look at this particular pattern. I tend to do this quite a bit, and it kind of works really well in our case because it's got all the common tones. So we're going to start with G on the high string with a downstroke. Then we're going to play C on the B string, first fret with an upstroke. Same for G. Then we're going to hammer on from nowhere on C on the A string. Make sure this part of your picking hand is kind of keeping sort of them muting at bay, right? Because when you hammer on from nowhere, your finger is literally just tapping on the string, right? So you might get some noise. So and then we're gonna play G here on the G string with our middle finger. We're then gonna go ahead and pick C and pull off to A. So very slowly. Get right speedy with this. Rock on. Alright, so this line revolves around spread sus2 triads, and we're navigating C sus2. Again, it's called sus2 because there's no third, so we got a root, 5th, 2nd, going to G sus2 on the 10th fret, root, 5th, 2nd, going to C sus2 on the 15th fret. So the pattern is always the same fingering wise. I like to kind of semi-palm mute it, just so I also get separation, a good separation between the notes, and you kind of get a bit of a percussive feel with them as well. So I'm going to start playing the 9th. I'm going to call this intervallically. So it's always good to know where things are intervallically than just, put your finger here sort of thing. So I'm going to play 9 with our pinky with our 3rd finger, then downstroke for the root, middle finger for 5, and back to the 9. So then we're going to slide and do the same to G sus2 here. And then we're going to go up to C sus2. So all together. And then we're going to sort of do the pattern in reverse. So we're going to start with a 9 here, slide back to the 9 of the G sus2, and slide back on the 9 of the C sus2. So all together. Rock on. So this line involves a lot of that sort of chordal sliding that I like to do, and we're basically covering all the notes of the A minor 11 arpeggio. So we're going to start, again, I like to name things intervallically, so A is going to be root, C is going to be flat 3, D 11, G flat 7. So we're going to use our third finger to slide from root to the flat 3, and then we're going to play the fourth, which is D, with our first finger. Then we're going to slide from our flat 3 C here to the fourth D, and we're going to play G, which is our flat 7 on the string below. Then we're going to slide from D to G on the 12th fret and play A on the string below. So, and then we're going to basically go back to that middle section. So we're going to slide from G to D, and we're going to play G on the B string. I think the difficult part is coming back from that to the first part, but if you're only doing it once and then moving on to something else, it does get a little bit easier. And again, you know, I love the chordal texture. You know, it just sounds so interesting, at least in my opinion. So hopefully you enjoy working on this line yourselves. Rock on. So as all good things, this video too must come to an end. Thank you for hanging out with me. I really hope that you got a lot out of it, and as always, just take it slowly, man. Just, you know, limitation is very, very useful when exploring concepts like that, especially if those concepts are new to you. So there's no rush. Remember, there's going to be a link with the backing track in the video description, so you guys can also try some of those concepts at home. If you record something, tag me in it. I'd love to hear you guys playing. If you're wondering where you can find the handle for my socials, my tour dates, merch, all that, music, it's all in the video description. In a nutshell, all the valuable questions in life will be answered in the video description. One more thing, if you enjoyed this video, show it to your mom, show it to your grandma, show it to your uncle. Hit the notification bell, wherever that is. And yeah, I believe that's all the requests from my part. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next Saturday. Stay classy, eat healthy food, because you only got one life, yeah, till next week. See you then, whatever. I need to come up with a way to close videos. I just feel bad asking for you guys to just do all those things. But then I did put a lot of time in this video, so it's a fair trade-off. Okay, anyways, I'm off. Bye.